Tonight, on A Week in League, we'll be talking LPL, LCK, LEC, LCS, LOL Esports competitive ruling against TSM Zhang, a 28-player ban in the LDL, Riot's new Docuseries about the making of Arcane, and so much more right after the intro. Welcome to A Week in League, where we cover League of Legends esports all around the globe from all 4 major regions. I'm your host Slomar, and let's just get right into the news. As usual, timestamps and references will be in the description, and while you're down there, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks. We still only have 6 teams that are officially locked into a playoff spot, and we now have 4 teams that are out of playoffs contention. This leaves 7 teams competing in the LPL for 4 playoff spots. This upcoming week of games will decide everything. RNG, V5, and JDG all go 2-0 this week, while AL, Ultra Prime, and LGD go 0-2. The Rookie of the Week award goes to TES Wayward, giving him the lead again for the most Rookie of the Week awards this split. The best player of Week 9 in the LPL is V5's mid laner, Rookie. 369, Wei, Rookie, Hope, and Ming round out the best players of Week 9 in the LPL. It seems like the middle of the pack teams can all take games off each other. Can you possibly get into playoffs with only 7 wins this year? I'm pretty sure that's never happened before in the LPL, but feel free to correct me in the comment section below if I'm wrong. Some of the key games next week are the 2 AL games, especially since AL is expected to lose against the heavy favorites, TES. TES is in 2nd place with a locked-in playoff spot, but perhaps TES will underestimate the competition and AL can snag up the much-needed win. Time for Game of the Week, and this week it's WBG versus JDG. The series features lots of unique picks with Kennen top, Pantheon jungle, Shyvana top, and Ashe support. The series was only 2 games, and it ended up going JDG's way. Definitely worth a watch. Let's take a look at the LPL standings, and we still have the top 6 teams headed straight into playoffs, and those teams are JDG, TES, RNG, V5, EDG, and WBG. And we have the 7-team soup, and that's AL, LNG, OMG, TT, FPX, BLG, and IG. Tune in next week for our playoff special, where we're going to try to predict the brackets from all 4 major regions. Things are quite different in the LCK, with all 6 playoff spots already locked in. And if you don't know this, only 6 teams participate in the LCK playoffs, and this split, those teams are Gen G, T1, Live Sandbox, Dom1 Kia, KT Rolster, and DRX. Since the other 4 teams don't really matter for the rest of the split, we are not going to be discussing them at all. Time for Game of the Week, and this week, it's Gen G versus Dom1 Kia. The series goes all the way to 3 games with some cool picks like Karthus, Renekton, Skarner, and Ryze. I always love seeing the pick diversity from all the different leagues, but it seems like the LCK is very spicy with their jungle picks. Anyways, if any of the things I just mentioned interest you, go watch the game. Since we discussed the top 6 teams that are locked into playoffs, the standings don't really matter this week. Tune in next week for our playoff special, where we're gonna try to predict the playoff brackets from every major region. The playoff race in the LEC is still very close, with only Mad Lions locking in a spot in 1st place. BDS, as we discussed last week, are the only team unable to qualify for playoffs. Misfits and G2 go 2-0 this week, and everyone else goes 1-1. Man, what a weird league. Everybody's just taking games off of everybody. And this has resulted in a 4-way tie in 2nd place between G2, Misfits, Rogue, and Vitality. There's also a 3-way tie in 6th between Astralis, Excel, and Fnatic, with SK and BDS rounding out the top 10. It's going to be very interesting watching the games on Sunday. Even though we have a super week, I still think we're very likely to get tiebreaker games on Sunday. I personally can't wait for all the folding sheets to come out this weekend. Next week, we'll be doing bracket predictions for all the 4 major regions, so make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified when the video's out. And with that out of the way, let's talk about Game of the Week. And this week, it's Astralis versus Vitality. The 44-minute game went back and forth, with Vitality eventually throwing the game at Elder Dragon. Alfari was on the LEC podcast Euphoria this last week, and he was talking about how the team was expecting to go 2-0 this week. I hope the team can still keep it together for the upcoming Super Week and make a deep run in playoffs. Before we get too deep in the LCS, I just want to address one thing. The content around the LCS 10 continues to be amazing. With all the player awards, the top 10 videos, Where Are They Now series, it's all just great. Again, happy to see the LCS broadcast really do its own thing this year. And next week is a super week, ladies and gentlemen, which means we'll be getting an extra day of games. And you know I'm always hyped for more games. 100 Thieves, CLG, and TL go 2-0 this week, while Golden Guardians, FlyQuest, and C9 go 0-2. This leaves TSM, Dignitas, and Immortals going 1-1. Believe it or not, Dignitas managed to win a game. Whippo manages to secure the Player of the Week after helping his team go 2-0 this week. We have 5 teams locked in the playoffs, and those teams are 100 Thieves, EG, CLG, TL, and C9. And with only 3 playoff spots left, there are 5 teams competing for it, and those teams are FlyQuest, TSM, Golden Guardians, Immortals, and Dignitas. Time for Game of the Week! And this week, it's CLG versus FlyQuest. The longest game this LCS split at 51 minutes. The game was very close, ending with a backdoor by Dokla. With CLG looking good right in time for playoffs, is the CLG hype train back? Can we really see CLG as a top 3 team going into Worlds this year? Tune in next week for our playoff special, where we're gonna try to predict the playoff brackets from all the 4 major regions. And perhaps the CLG hype train conductor might make an appearance. Welcome to another news, where we discuss news that may or may not be relevant to the scene. This week's headline is, in previous weeks, we've covered the TSM story about the previous head coach, Peter Zhang. Well, now the LOL Esports has issued a competitive ruling permanently banning Zhang from being associated or affiliated with any team or organization in the LOL Esports space. Zhang was found breaking the LCS rule set and exhibited alarming behavior towards player and staff, failing to fully compensate a former player for the sale of the player's car. This comes at no surprise, as all these allegations have come out and have been proven by other people in the community. Now, there's just an official ban in place. If you want to read more, links will be in description. Our other big story this week is 28 players and coaches are banned, 2 teams removed from the LDL in a massive LOL match fixing scandal. 19 out of those 28 bans were permanent bans. The LDL is no stranger to match fixing scandals. However, this has to be one of the biggest in LOL Esports ever. The ruling was based on a game played on July 10th featuring Team Orange versus Team 12. If you want to read more about this, links are in description. In other news, Riot Games releases a new 5-part docuseries about the behind the scenes of their hit animated Netflix series, Arcane. The documentary is very well done and is available right here on YouTube. I highly recommend you watch this, even if you haven't watched Arcane. Links are always in description. In other news, the Hex Flash bug continues to find its way into professional play. Most notably, this week it's made an appearance in the LGL, the League of Legends Japanese League, in a game between the number 1 and number 2 seed where the outcome was important for playoff seeding. The game was paused after the Hex Flash bug and a chrono break was attempted. Unfortunately, after 2 hours, the refs were unable to chrono break the game and the game had to be remade. And yes, that's a 2-hour pause. In the second game, DFM, the team with the huge lead in the first game, lost the second game. Hex Flash is now disabled in the LCK and the LEC as well. Let's see how long this one is going to stick around, but for now, Hex Flash is disabled in most League of Legends competitive play. In other news, we've covered Vitality's sub-jungler Bo on the show before, and now he's officially hit rank 1 on EU West solo queue with a 65% win rate. That's just insane. The guy's just too good. In other news, and this isn't so much news, but we're going to talk about it anyways, this week on the LCS broadcast, they reintroduced the ability to cut to live comms during the game. And this is definitely a welcome change that makes for a better viewing experience. However, I'm not really sure why it was gone in the first place. If I remember correctly, this was around a long time ago. I even remember one of my favorite LCS clips using this feature.
Spines down. Kill tower, watch out. Kill tower, Neon, tower, Dexter. Go, keep going.
Anyways, I'm glad the feature is back regardless. In other news, TSM Huni officially retires. This may not be a surprise as the player has recently stepped down into a coaching position, and this was due to some wrist injuries. By the way, this happened this split, so this decision seems a little too soon in my opinion, but you never know what happens behind the scenes. Huni said in an interview that he'll be working in the esports industry, however, he hasn't specified in which capacity. We'll have to see what Huni will get up to in the coming years, as it's always bittersweet when an industry vet, especially someone who's had as much success as Huni. Thanks, Huni. And that is the end of our show this week. This week, it was a bit of a slow news week. However, we're heading right into playoffs, and this is the calm before the storm. Tune in next week for our playoff special, where we'll be predicting the playoff brackets from every major region. I just want to thank you again for all the support. I can't believe we're so close to 100 subs. At 100 subscribers, I will release a behind the scenes video that goes over exactly how I make one of these episodes from start to finish. If you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing and stay tuned for more content. Have a great night and good luck in solo queue.